What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants and no hate. So, I want to talk about Billy Joe Saunders. I watched the interview with Akim Barak and Billy Joe, and he didn't have a whole lot to say about anything else other than fighting Canelo, which is, as far as I'm concerned, what fighters should do. They asked him how does he feel about unifying the division and fighting against Caleb Plant. Would that be his next fight? Is he going straight into that if he was to beat Canelo? And like he said, I'm not looking past anybody. So he didn't really have anything to say about that. Then they asked him about, how do you feel about Caleb Plant as a fighter? Because Caleb said he think you're going to give Canelo some problems early and then quit. But he said he think Caleb Plant's a good guy. He like Caleb Plant. But as far as him quitting, he doesn't really know him. Like he said in his culture, that's not what they're about. They don't quit. And he, made a joke about, do they know CPR? I'll bring you guys with me if that's the case. And then one can pump the belly, one can blow the air and all of that. And, Anyway, here's my point. What I'm getting to with Billy Joe Saunders. Now that this fight is here, okay, because a lot of people have been saying he's going to find a way to get out of the fight. He's scared to fight Canelo. You don't want to fight Canelo. I clearly remember things being said in a different way. I remember him, at the press conference, like he was at one of the press conferences, and, he had his comments about Golovkin and Canelo. And I'm not focused on what didn't happen or what could have happened and whatever, but for whatever reasons, fights don't happen. My thing is, when they do happen, let's not let's not backtrack. Let's not go into why it didn't happen. Now, if it's a thing where a fighter is lying, saying things that's not true, and we can remember, like, no, you said this, or, you said that, now you're changing your story. And we have a lot of that happening right now. But the fight's going to be, okay? And like he said, they asked him the venue, he said he doesn't know exactly where. He mentioned, I think he said Texas is one place and somewhere else as a possibility. But here's the thing, people. This is a fight that this is going to be his first real step-up fight, okay, for him. So, yeah, all eyes is on him, and all the pressure would seem to be on him. I think deep down inside, Billy Joe I think he's looking at Canelo like, look, you're the best fighter I ever fought, but I'm not stressing about you. I have a job to do. Doesn't matter who I'm fighting, I'm coming to win. That's the attitude he seems to have, and that's the attitude he should have. But win, lose, or draw, man, these are fights that we want. So, like I said in the last video, I'm not into this, we want to see a fight, then when the fight's announced, or when we bring up the best fighters. And I understand, the best fighters in the division, when we bring them up to say that, this is the fight we want to see, and then people start saying this guy he can't win, he's not good enough, then again, like I asked, then who do you want to see Canelo fight? Because, I mean, who is it that can test him? Now, personally, if he did get past Canelo, we don't know if he goes straight into a fight with Caleb Plant, right? But let's say he does. What's the next logical person that we see to fight the winner out of Saunders and Plant, just say, for example, would be Benavidez. But of course, you'd imagine there would be a rematch clause, okay, with Canelo and Saunders. So it's not good to start thinking ahead and just start putting these fantasy fights together as if they're going to happen the way that we imagine it. So I don't like to do that, and I don't. I just look at what's happening right now, and that's what I go by. Now, next step after that test is passed, now where do you go? And that's what I like to do. But whether you think he's going to lose or not, there's too many fighters that keep talking and then not enough action. Now, example, we had Billy Joe and Demetrius Andrade going back and forth for the longest time, man. And we've heard them both say, send the contract, make it happen. So based on that alone, that makes you feel like Okay, it's about to go down. They calling each other out. What happened? So, you know, they talked about Demetrius Andrade calling him out, and pretty much like they, you know, he said they say I like Demetrius Andrade. I think he's a good guy, but he's just trying to feed his family, trying to get some attention, to get a big payday. Here's the deal. That may be true and all or whatever, but Demetrius Andrade is supposed to be fighting Liam Williamson, right? Now, here's my thing. Williamson, whatever. But here's my thing. Now, Williamson is saying he's going to knock him out. He's going to destroy him. He's going to break his face open. And, you know, he's saying a lot of things. I don't really care for all the trash talking between fighters, but for the people, you know, they're saying now Andrade hasn't had a fight in a long time. Same thing. Now that this fight's supposed to be happening, oh man, that guy's a bum. Andrade's gonna kill him. He's trash. And it's like, here we go. Your opinion, you're entitled to it. But again, as soon as we get, first we complain about not getting fights. Now when we get the fights, the trash talking, the criticism, I can say Liam Williamson, I agree that he has improved from the past, from me seeing him before that. I feel like he's an improved fighter. Now, does he beat Andrade? Let's find out. I don't care about a bunch of opinions. I mean, we can all say who we think going to win. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's many times you think a fighter's going to beat another fighter based on what we've seen, and then they get in the ring, and guess what? That night it doesn't happen. So it is what it is. But even for to say if he beat Williams, then he's going to fight Charlo. Notice, here's the crazy thing, right? Andrade fights at 160. So does Charlo. But basically, anytime Jamal's name come up now months ago, right? All before, up until the point where Charlo won the title, when he beat Derevianchenko, that's all everybody was talking about was Charlo versus Andrade. Notice how that talk has stopped now? And all you hear now is either Charlo versus Canelo or Charlo versus Benavidez. That's all you hear now. Two guys that's not even in his weight class. So if Andrade beats Williams, whatever, if he beats him, that doesn't mean we get that fight next, even if we want that fight. So, you know, I'm not looking ahead. I'm not looking past what didn't even happen yet. And even, let's just say at the end of the fight, let's say, you know, Andrade wins. At the end of the fight, he's, you know, let's say if he's talking, he brings Charlo name up, or the interviewer brings Charlo name up, and he says, he calls him out. It's not the first time that fighters have been called out. Doesn't mean we get the fight. And what happens is people, like I said, people just start talking and assuming and start trying to play matchmaker. And then the fights don't happen. I think that Andrade, I mean, he hasn't fought in a long time, you know, and I think that for him, he has to start making some noise too. You know, he has to start, you know, it's not about talking trash. I mean, he has to start making some noise. Stuff has to start changing. See, Charlo, he said that Benavidez had a poor performance, right? He laughed at him and, you know, like, so, like, he's not interested in fighting him because he can take advantage of, he could definitely take advantage of the things he does wrong and all that. But at the end of the day, it's like, listen, you guys are fighters, man. And you know Benavidez is a serious day. If you want Canelo, okay, and I do believe he wants to fight Canelo. My thing is, whatever terms you guys have to come to, because one thing for sure is this: Charlo versus Canelo, okay? I'm rolling with Charlo. I think Charlo can beat him. What will actually happen, we'll have to see. Charlo's not the A side. He's not going to get the lion's share of the money. He can't possibly think that he is. What negotiations will be like, to be honest with you, when I think about that fight, I think ego prevents that fight from happening. I don't see that fight actually happening. And to be honest with you, if they do fight, I do believe Charlo's going to have to go up to 168. I don't see... Look, remember, Canelo gave his belt up to go fight at another weight class. Okay? And people always overlook that. That is a fact. He gave his belt up to go fight at another weight class. And then Charlo was the guy that everybody wanted to see him fight right then and there. And it didn't happen. And people, oh, he don't want to fight. Charlo don't want to fight. I'm not about taking sides, regardless to who I want to win. Like, example, you just heard me say, I think Charlo can beat him, and I'm rolling with Charlo. I'm sticking with my guns. I'm not going to change my opinion. And if he was to lose, I'm not going to say, well, make any excuses. Basically, the thing is, you got to do what you got to do to make these fights happen. If you can go up 8 pounds and it doesn't bother you, go up 8 pounds. Go beat this man. You understand what I'm saying? And then if you want to go back to 160, whatever it's going to be. But do your thing. Because truthfully, I believe at some point, he's going to have to fight a Benavidez or Caleb Plant or Saunders or Canelo. Charlo I'm talking about, because they, you know, his name right now, he beating Derevyanchenko. People thought he was going to lose. I didn't think he was going to lose. Stuff happens. I mean, he could have, but he didn't. Okay, he came in and he performed well. But you want to keep the ball rolling. And when you look at who's there, well, now that we know that Andrade is having a fight, will that be next after? We don't know. I don't know anything about what Charlo has planned. You understand? So, what, he's 30, 31 now? Guys got to stop letting so much time tick by, man. Without, you know, they got to understand, like, by the time you, especially when you're talking about legacy, okay, by the time you come around to fighting certain guys that's a part of your era, that has credibility and that people wanted to see, and you guys have gotten to an age where neither one of you are the same. It's just not the same thing. And then what happens is there's some young lion coming up that you probably would have beat him in your prime, you know, and might have beat him easily. But now guess what? You're no longer in your prime, and that guy comes up and he beats you. Now, we seen Darrell versus Benavidez, and I remember before that fight, there was a lot of people who thought Darrell was going to win that fight. There was also a lot of people that thought Benavidez was going to win. But bottom line is, if you look at the situation, the young lion dethroned the old lion. Okay, in that situation. Now, even though Darrell's not old, you know, in boxing, you age a lot quicker, wear and tear on your body. So being 33, 34 in boxing, you're pretty old. You understand what I'm saying? Not in life, but in boxing. So when your body has been through so much. So when you look at that situation, right, time works against all of them. How old is Benavidez? 24? Charlo's already 30. You know what I'm saying? So it's a 6-year difference between them. So the longer they wait to make these things happen, it works against them. Daniel Jacobs is another one. Daniel Jacobs is already like mid-30s. Daniel Jacobs is not going to be around too much longer. Let's just be real. And that's going to be another name taken away as a, you know, as a viable challenger versus just being a journeyman. And if you look at Danny Jacobs, his last couple of fights, he hasn't looked the same at all, man. I already see with Danny Jacobs already, you can see like, yeah, we know Danny Jacobs. Listen, Danny Jacobs was a good fighter, but to me, there was too much going on to where, like I mean, he lost to Triple G, he lost to Canelo, you know, look, he's a good fighter, but Danny Jacobs Father Time is working against him right now. So guys like him and Triple G, I'm not looking at them. I'm really not looking at them. I'm looking at the other guys, because these guys are not going to be around to be the contenders or the champions, you know, that they could have been or once was. So right now, after the Andrade Williamson fight, I put it to you like this, okay? Whoever wins, we can't say who's next for them. You know, we can't. Williams might, if he wins, he might wind up fighting somebody in the UK. He's not known too well over here in the States. So a lot of people are looking at it like, who is this guy? They're saying Andre's going to kill him because they don't know him. I think Andrade should win this fight. Based on what I saw, both fighters do. I feel like Andrade should win. he's pointing out things about Andrade's style that I agree about. I agree with the things he was saying about how he's slinging that left hand and how he's, but Andrade can't fight. Now, noticing what your opponent does wrong or things that you know that they do, not even that, it's just things that you can capitalize on, okay? And being able to do it are two different things. So, me personally, I don't need people to talk me to death about what's going to happen and why. We just want to see the fight. So I'm not really focused on giving you guys my opinion on, I'm not really going to dissect who I think is going to win and why. That's not the purpose of this video. But the point what I'm getting at is, like, there's fighters out there, okay? And there's fighters from different places out there that's good fighters, good solid fighters that don't have big names. And for that reason alone, if you don't know a guy, people just like, they don't show real interest. We'll see how either fighter looks. Now, to put the focus on Andrade, because, he's more well-known, of course, over here than Williamson is. But what I'm saying is, if he does win, either fighter, we can't say what's next for them. We don't know that. We know we like to see next, but let's say if Andrade does win. If Andrade does win, okay, we still don't know if we get him and Charlo. I think Charlo, I don't see it as being a fear thing. I just think Charlo hates that guy. And he just doesn't even want him to eat, to get a check with him. I just think he hates Andrade, honestly. He talks like he can't stand him. And I think that it's one of those situations where he really just doesn't like Andrade. I don't think he's afraid of Andrade at all. I don't think Andrade's afraid of him. I just think it's more of a personal, like, man, and people do that. Because, look, that's how you make your money in boxing. You fight each other. And, now for him to be in the position he's in, I'm pretty sure, like, he's looking at it like if you listen to him talk, and that's what I'm basing what I'm saying on, I just don't think he likes Andrade at all. And it's the thing where, like, yeah, if they fight, he's going to try to punish him. But I think it's more of a thing like, I'm not even going to give you the opportunity, man. Like, I don't even like you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I think it's more one of those, like, when usually a fighter can say, yeah, I don't like this guy, I'm going to take it out on him in the ring. But I just think it's so, like, he really doesn't like Andrade at all. I remember a video where they were like, I think Andrade was in the hallway and someone was talking to him, and Charlo was walking up and he was giving him this look, like the look he gave him, and it was like telling him, man, you be talking crazy and this and this and that, and just stare down, and I don't see any fear there. I think he really hates this guy. But look, it is what it is with that. Like I always tell y'all, I'm not gonna lose any sleep whether the fights happen or not. But I think, honestly, now this is my opinion, I think since Andrade and Charlo are in the same division, now to me, I see no reason that the two of them can't fight and shouldn't fight. I'm not saying I agree with Charlo. I'm saying I think he really just don't like that guy, but I'm not saying I agree with him not fighting him. No, I think they should fight, okay? And pretty much, they're in the same weight class. You don't have to worry about going up or waiting for somebody to come down. You guys are in the same weight class. Man, make it happen. That's a legacy fight for you. You beat him, and then, Charlo, I don't see him and I don't see Charlo and Canelo fighting. If they ever fight at all, I don't see it in no time soon. Why put your career on hold? We don't want to see you go fight a meatball. I don't want to see Canelo or anybody fight a meatball. Fight the winner of Williamson and Andrade. That's what I see. Now, does he have something in the works that he just haven't talked about yet? I don't know. But the thing is, if it's against a viable opponent that we want to see, then that's something you start promoting early. Fights are promoted early. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not with this whole everybody's just holding out and not wanting to fight. I get it. You want to see you want these fights in front of a crowd. I get it. I clearly get it. I completely get it. I would want to be in front of a crowd too. At the same time, it's a situation there where, like, time waits for nobody. And like I said, everybody's getting older, man. And these guys are just waiting. They fight. They let so much time go by. You see these guys getting on Lear jets. You see them shopping, buying cars, and doing all that. That's all well and good. Live your life and chill. But you can't turn the clock back. You really can't turn the clock back. And before you know it, it's like 2 or 3 years that went by. You still haven't fought certain guys that you could have fought 8 years ago. Stuff like that goes on. And then, I mean, it's like I'm saying, and before you know it, it makes your time in the sport even look shorter. Because from the time that you was there versus the amount of time that it took for you to finally get that recognition, it's shorter than your entire career. Now, if you come into the sport out the Olympics, everybody know you, is a huge anticipation for you. That's something different. But it's like one of these situations where it took the Charlos a long time to finally get that now of people saying, okay, they've now entered the pound for pound list. I already felt like they was that good. You know, but at the end of the day, we want to see this fight. And I'm bringing this up because everybody's talking about Charlo now versus everybody else other than Andrade. Talking about it's not going to make it happen, but it's like people have forgotten that Demetrius Andrade is there. You know, and like I said, after all the back and forth with him and Billy Joe, again, the same with Gary Russell and Terrence Crawford, like all this beefing with people that's not even in your weight class. Fight the guy that's in your weight class. And who doesn't want to see Charlo versus Andrade? You know, who doesn't? We know that Charlo's not going to go back down. He's not going to go back down to 154. No, that's not happening. So, you know, it's just like I said, like people was talking about Errol Spence going to 154. I said, well, if Errol Spence goes to 154, you know, I don't know if him and Jamel is that tight that they won't fight each other. I don't know. I know they've sparred, but basically he goes to 154. That's the fight they're going to want to see. And he doesn't hold any titles at 154. Jamel does. So if he goes up to 154 and that was to actually happen, hey, that's a great fight. But guess what? He's not. He's at 147. You know, he has fish to fry there that for whatever reason, well, he's out overpricing himself, you know, and now you got this guy Ugas doing the same thing. So it's like at the end of the day, man, boxing is just getting to a point. I told you guys, I've been watching a lot of bare knuckle fighting, a lot of MMA, man. Hell, I've been watching AEW and Impact Wrestling lately, like more often. Just it's like I watch boxing, man, and the vibe is just not what it should be. I mean, you guys, you big name guys are tearing the sport down, man. You guys are making it not interesting to watch. These promoters, everybody's just talking for everybody. Nothing's happening. We want to see the action, and it's so sad because, you know, we have so much. Look, we just had a fight. I forget the two guys' names. I was just watching the fight, and one guy, the judge got suspended. He had the fight score 118 to 111, right? And I'm like, bro, hell no, that wasn't no 118, 111. That's, come on, seriously? The score was so bad from that one judge. The other two judges had it a lot closer. They had like 2 rounds apart, maybe. Some people had it like 8 rounds to 4. Some had it 7 to 5. But this guy had it 118, 111. Like, seriously. That kind of action with judges being suspended, it need to happen more often. Because we get these, this is not the first time. And then this guy is going to have people looking at him like, man, he got it. He you know, you can't blame the fighter for what the judges did. You understand what I'm saying? Or what this one judge did particularly. But people are going to, you know, well, people are going to be biased anyway. So it's not really a factor because people are going to be biased when they want to be. But people are going to look at him and say, nah, man, you know, like he was gifted that, you know, and the judges, this, that, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, man, listen, this is what I'm saying. You got so much corruption and negativity that is just in the downside of boxing that fight itself is overlooked simply because of the bad judgment called by the referee. Pause. And truthfully, even when we get these fights we want to see, we don't know what's going to happen. If you leave it, you know, if it goes to the judges, are they going to be fair? Is the right guy going to get his hand raised? I mean, you never know. But at least you want to see the fights. And like I was saying about the other fight, the fight itself, people are so into beefing about the scorecards that the fight itself was completely overlooked, man. And when I looked, I'm like, damn, nobody's covering this fight. Nobody's really talking about this fight. Wow. And this is what I mean. It's like it's too many casuals in boxing, but you got people, the stars of boxing themselves is helping ruin the sport. It's just too much negativity. I will say this about Canelo, right? No, we don't want to see the hand picking. We don't want to see any fighter going through this cherry pick stuff and just having an easy time to make it look like it's, it is what it is. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but Canelo is staying active. That's one thing I give him. He's staying busy. He's staying active. You got guys who they win one big fight and then they don't fight for a whole damn year. Or you got guys who finally lose one fight, take off a year, 2 years. Like, what the hell is going on? So, really and truthfully, I don't see any reason why Jamal and Andrade can't fight. I really don't. I really, really don't. Like I said, I do believe I do believe Joe hates Andrade. But at the same time, I feel like, hey, take that anger into the ring, knock him out, beat him. And if they do fight, I'm rolling with Jamal. I like them both as fighters. I just think Jamal wins. Not just because I want him to win, but I think he wins that fight. But it's a great fight, in my opinion. I think that's a solid fight. And it's not like Andrade can't win, but I'm going with Jamal in that fight. Well, if the fight ever damn happens. But I'm just saying, it just seems like that fight's never going to happen. It seems like the Canelo-Charlo is never going to happen. Canelo's already expressed he has no interest in going to 160. He's saying he feels strong, he feels comfortable at 168. He doesn't want to go to 175 until Better BF is no longer effective or something, or if he's going. These guys need to understand that people are paying good money to support your careers. Whether they're buying pay-per-view, whether they're buying tickets to go to see your fight. And for these fighters that keep, when they just won't fight the guys that you want to see, let's not be childish, okay? We're not going to sit here and pout, cross our arms and stick our bottom lips out because two guys won't fight. But like I've already said, don't support fights that you don't want to see. I know I don't. And I've said several times, and I stuck to my guns. There's certain fights I just refuse to watch because I have no interest in it. I don't care how you look in that fight. And it's not it's boxing talk. Let's just, no. If you're sitting here and you're just not wanting to fight the guys that you should want to fight, why am I supporting your career? For what? So at the end of the day, it's like either you want the fight or you don't. Simple. So, when we start looking at all these different weight classes that have all these ultra talented fighters that are not getting any recognition, it should tell you something. All you keep hearing about now, Eddie Hearn is talking about it a lot as well, and other people about how many different platforms is trying to buy into these fights and put big money up. And yeah. And also because of that too, every fighter is thinking, how much money can I get then? Okay, how much? And don't get me wrong, I would always encourage people to try to get top dollar, try to get as much money as you can. But let's be real, there's also something called overpricing yourself, okay? It's just like not having a college degree for a particular job that you need a college degree for. You might get lucky and know someone who can pull you in, train you, teach you some things, give you a position, and then might even say, hey, man, listen, we teach the class here. You'll get certified. Things like that can happen, but you can't, okay, if you're not a dentist, you've never been to school to be a dentist, who the hell is going to trust you? No, you can't. You have to have a license. You understand what I'm saying? You have to be qualified for that. It's common sense. So if you have that kind of common sense to know, well, I'm not a dentist, right? You don't just walk in there and open your mouth. All right, gone. That'll be $800. You understand what I'm saying? You don't do that, right? You have common sense. So it's the same way. Like, how do you think that you don't have the credentials, you don't have the fan base, but you're going to go in there asking for a ridiculous amount of money that you're not worth that, So anyway, I was I looked at it. I said, hey, salute to the Charlos when they did what they had to do. Any other fighter. But when it gets to the point where it's your career, understand that. It's your career. So what people see fit to do, that's solely up to them. You know, I'm not going to say I don't get in panty raids and run around mad and getting emotional. I'm not going to get emotional because this guy won't fight this guy. I want to see the fight. No, but when I speak on it, I touch on the things that I see and understand that, you know, should or shouldn't be. You know, and if you're looking at pros and cons, it's like it's a lot more cons than pros right now with what's been going on, because we're just, not only are we not getting the fights, it's like there's no real actual explanation as to why. And you see, that's why I said when we start talking about duck, 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 it just gets to the point where everybody's just pointing their finger saying this guy ducking, this guy duck. And we don't even have clarity on what's happening. You understand what I'm saying? We just had, oh, it's just not happening. Why? Which one of you guys are holding the fight up? You know. Anyway, listen. I do want to see boxing do better. And for boxing to do better, you know, the powers that be have to do their part. And that's from the promoters to the fighters, that they have to change the way they're doing things. Because right now, we just have a whole lot of, I'm better than him, I can beat him, oh, he don't want it with me. And then all of a sudden, just back and forth, then all of a sudden, they're fighting somebody else that we don't even care to see them fight. So, look, y'all, never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and that's all I'm going to say on this video.